From the Denver Broncos Media Center, welcome to Broncos Country Tonight.
Welcome to Broncos Country Tonight. We are barreling towards the regular season. The Broncos taking on the Seahawks, but first they got to get their roster down to 53, and to help us break it all down today, man, Steve Atwater. What a bat.
Hey, what up, Evers?
Good to have you here, man.
It's been Allbright. Good to see you guys.
Yeah, you don't have to say hi to him. He's, it's whatever.
Come on, man. He's up on the pedestal right now.
He's just padding stats over there. That's all he's doing. Padding stats in the preseason.
Maybe we should put a bronze statue of me. That's what we'll do with the Drew Lock Centaur statue. We'll melt it down. We'll make a statue of me and put it up on the battlefield. It's not self-aggrandizing.
The fact that you even made it in here, into this building.
I was worried there wasn't going to be room for the three of us and my ego today.
Yeah, it was the door. We had to get it widened. All right, Steve, it's good to have you here. First of all, before we get into kind of where the Broncos roster is right now, I want to get your thoughts on what happened in the game, what stood out to you, big-time performances from the defense, great performance for the running game, things we wanted to see the Broncos do, a great, I think, overall response from what happened in the Buffalo Bills game.
Yeah, you said it all. I mean, what else do I need to say? Yeah, I mean, the running game got going. That's one of the things that, we had questions, especially after that Buffalo Bills game. And, the defense side of the ball, Sosa got busy. McTelvin again, he's unfortunately no longer on the team right now. I guess it was a little too much, too little, too late. Nick Bonito got going. I thought the guys came out and played well. They played like they were playing for something. Offensively as well. At the running back position, Mike Boone, he lit it up. And for me, I wanted to see that next level in Mike Boone, and he showed it to me in that game against the Vikings.
I didn't really realize I said everything, so
yeah,
apologize.
You said it all.
All right. Great observations, though, Steve. I appreciate you adding to my point. With Mike Boone, Ben has made the point multiple times that maybe he should have a bigger role, and he might end up having a bigger role with the running backs. You agree?
Well, if he runs like he ran in the game on Saturday, yeah. But again, that was my first time seeing him run that hard. That's just my opinion, though. I haven't seen all the tape on him, but he looked like he wanted it. Not saying that he doesn't always do that, but that's hard. I've seen him run, and it was great.
He looked at the guy George Payton brought him in to be last year because they paid him a little bit of money. I mean, it's not like Mike Boone is sitting here on the cheap. I mean, he's like $2 million, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I have to go back and look. But when they brought him in, they had a vision for him to have a role in this offense, and he looked like that was the first time I'd seen him since he'd been in Minnesota in those preseasons where he was playing like that. It was good to see him back all the way back from the injury and running the way that he was running.
He had an injury last year too. So yeah, that may have played a part in it. But yeah, that's my first time really getting a chance to see the real Mike Boone.
Well, and Coach Hackett talked about it after the game. He liked the overall physicality, the way they answered the bell, I guess, if you will, in the trenches. And that was one of your big concerns coming out of it. Talking about gap discipline on the defensive side, we saw better with that. They're still working on contain. I think when you got younger players in there, that's going to be a bit of a problem.
Yeah, man, it's just so crazy because everyone has to contain at some point in your life. If you're playing on that edge, you have to contain.
Yeah, but you know what? And it's something that I talked with Alfred Williams about yesterday is, yes, you do, but you're also used to your athleticism bailing you out of things.
Yeah, it's not going to,
And so you're much more technique-driven here at the pro level.
Absolutely, 100%. And when the technique isn't right, if you take a bad step, you're going to pay for it. And, the offensive teams know which guys have the tendencies to do that. So they go back to the well as many times as they can. But we certainly cleaned it up some this past week against the Vikings. Now, obviously, we haven't seen the ones out there, and I would imagine in practice they've been doing that. They're not letting guys get outside of them. Randy Gregory, Bradley Chubb, no Malik Reed now.
Mm-hmm.
But Nito, that's going to be an area that I think he's going to have to work on.
But we acknowledged this last night on the show. Baron Browning sort of forced the issue. Baron Browning is your third pass rusher right now, and it's not really close.
Well, and Baron can set the edge. Nick Bonito's not that guy yet. He is strictly a pass rushing specialist at this point. But Malik Reed's cap number and everything, we already knew with the caponomics that there was going to be a problem there. He's due $2.4 million. It was going to become fully guaranteed the second day of the season. We already knew what they're trying to do with this rollover cap, and that's stack the deck so that they can get every dollar squeezed in for Russ and still get other people signed. So we already knew the direction this was headed. The fact that George got compensation back for a 6th rounder, he had to give up a 7th for it. I think that's good. I don't understand why people are upset about it. I'm upset that we lost Malik Reed because he was a nice guy. We always loved talking to him, and he had good work ethic.
Yeah,
but in the end,
I like Malik.
He's a number 3, number 4 pass rusher on most teams in the league. That's what he is, and he's going to enjoy being there in Pittsburgh and being in that role.
Yeah, and I think this opens up opportunity for Jay Coop. I really like Jonathan Cooper's game, and I think he's going to be one of the guys who. We haven't seen all the final cuts yet, but I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be on that final roster. He's a guy who can set that edge, plays with a lot of ferocity, and he plays on special teams.
100%. And so you're going to have to make some decisions. Another one was at the defensive line and McTelvin Agim, who had an unbelievable game, no doubt about it. An unbelievable game, couple passes defense, a sack, 2 forced fumbles. I mean, he did everything you possibly asked for. We talked about him last week, saying that's a dude that has to come out and ball. But the thing is, you have to take into account all of it, all the offseason, all of training camp. And there were just guys like Matt Henningsen. There was another draft pick there, and Ini Uwazurike, guys that were just ahead of him, at least right now.
Nice job with Uwazurike, man.
Well, once in a while I get things right. But if you ask Ben, that's a very rare.
Yeah, I agree with you. Whenever I saw McTelvin, I would tell him, hey, man, you got to play like you're on fire. And I think most guys, when you step on the field, well, all guys, when you step on the field, that's got to be your mentality because you never know. It may be your last game for an injury or whatever reason. You don't want to be out there not giving it at your all. And sometimes people think they're giving it their all when they look at the film like, dang, man, I could have did better than that. And I think McTelvin probably feels that way because he was on a different level this week. He played differently this week than he did the first couple of weeks of the season. And the first couple weeks of the preseason. And, you got to have that consistency, man. That's what coaches are looking for. That's what your teammates are looking for. They need you to step up and be your best every single day.
Yeah, that way you're not just exploiting one guy in one game. You're that player, that does that every game. And that was the thing McTelvin never kind of did. I mean, the offensive line raved about it for 2 years, but he never put it all together. He got in Fangio's doghouse, and then, it comes out this season, just didn't do enough. And wish him well. He'll catch on somewhere. Somebody give him a shot.
We got a chance to get a glimpse of what he can do.
Right.
But you got to be consistently, making plays. You got to be around the ball. You got to be putting pressure on the quarterback. And, if you can't do that or, if you're tired or something, get out of the game, come back in. But you got to, when you're out there on that field, man, you got to show that, hey, man, I deserve to be out here.
Well, and you said it there. You got to play every game and every down. Like it could be your last down.
Yeah.
How many guys who played the sport at any level ever got out there and realized that the last game they were playing was the last game they were playing?
Yeah.
Not many. Yeah. And so that's the thing. You got to go out there and you got to somehow have that mentality. This could be my last game. I got to leave it all out there. Yeah. And if you can't force yourself to do that, you might come up short.
And you got to be able to look at film and it's like, man, golly, man, I got to be better than that.
Understand where your deficiencies are.
Even in practice, right?
I mean, no excuses.
If you're in practice and you see that you're not giving it your all, you got to give yourself a mental note that, hey, I'm going to be better than that. When I come back here and watch this film tonight, I'm going to be better.
Yeah, I didn't get it done. I didn't get it done because I'm going to get it done next time.
Regardless.
Another guy that showed improvement over the course of the offseason, training camp, and the final preseason game especially, was Brett Rippon. And he, at least as we sit here right now, looks like he won the quarterback.
Benjamin Allbright, this is his moment.
Yeah, he won the quarterback battle between he and Josh Johnson. And honestly, again, we're all rooting for Brett. I think that he's been a guy who's been around. It's the first time he's ever made this roster out of camp, which is pretty awesome. Unfortunate for him up to that point, but awesome that he got that opportunity. And I feel like he's earned it. And I thought he earned it, especially with that play on Saturday.
Yeah, and we're rooting for all the guys. We want the best team. Just like the coaches, they want the best players, the guys who are going to give this team an opportunity to, get deep into the playoffs to win championships. And I felt like Josh Johnson was playing well, but guess what? We only got a glimpse of the entire picture. Playing the games is one thing, but also, hey, practice. Your leadership, all these other things, that's a whole nother part of it. And we didn't get a chance to see what that looks like. But yeah, Brett, he came out, certainly played well the last couple of games against the Bills, against the Vikings. And he's like, hey, man, I'm not giving this up. And he was able to hold on to it, and hey, my hat's off to him. And I'm looking forward to him, coming in, backing up Russ if he goes down, and doing a great job.
Yeah, regardless, personal connections and all that stuff aside, I want the best guy to win. I want this team to be the best team it can be. And I thought Brett outplayed Josh. I thought he outplayed him in camp. I thought he outplayed him in the games. And, he got rewarded for that. I don't think the Broncos are done at quarterback. I think they're going to look for a practice squad guy, whether that's bringing Josh back, whether that's looking at somebody else like Tim Boyle. But I do believe that I still think they're out there looking at the quarterback position and the backup position.
One of the only surprises we've gone through some of the cuts here is Kendall Hinton, who we had talked about as a guy that we thought was pretty solid, especially after the injury to Tim Patrick. But clearly they have some different looks on what that wide receiver room is going to look like. Even as we're sitting here, Brandon Johnson was wave injured. So it's going to be kind of an interesting setup there because you're thinking about Jalen Virgil, Seth Williams, some of those guys in the back end. And a reminder that most of these decisions, especially for the back end of the receiving room, have to be special teams in mind. So Tyree Cleveland is a name that has constantly come up, especially with Dwayne Stukes, saying, I want him to be here. He's a core guy. We look at him as a core guy for our special teams. So I guess some of the indications so far is the back end of that wide receiver room is very heavily influenced there.
Oh, yeah. I would say that, the guys who aren't starters, man, if you're not playing special teams, it's a good chance, you're probably not going to make it, especially obviously unless you're offensive, defensive lineman. But, all the other positions, you got to be able to contribute on special teams because the majority of the time you won't be playing. And when you get in there and contribute, special teams is going to be the way you're going to do it. That could change games. Guys going down, making big tackles, making that key block to spring Montreal, Washington. Montreal, hey, man, he's a great one.
Oh, man, he's fun.
He's going to be a fan favorite for a while.
Yes.
He really is. And that's, we instantly kind of glommed onto him a little bit, talked to him right after he got drafted, how emotional he was. He wasn't expecting to be drafted, all that kind of stuff. And, but he's a heck of a player, too. You go back and you were watching the Florida tape and you watch him just put it to it. He was the only guy on that offense, and they still couldn't stop him. Yes. And SEC defense could not stop him. So that got me hyped, and he's just continued to come out here and show it every day. And that's what you've got to do in this league. Come out and show it every day.
And he's shown that he's tough. Mm-hmm. He can take those hits. He pops right back up. He may be hurting a little bit, may be dizzy a little bit, but he doesn't let the opponent see that. I love that. I love that. The guy, he's not, coming off limping. Now, you never know if you get hurt, it may happen, but I love how he pops up. Doesn't let anybody know that, hey, he may be feeling it a little bit.
There's some gamesmanship to that, too. You take the hardest shot in the world, and you're sitting there like internally, you're like, oh, I just want to die.
I know, right?
And then you pop it up, though. You're like, man, put some stank on it next time. As you walk back to the huddle, then you're looking back at the huddle, you're like, oh, guys, carry me.
Well, and to see that with KJ Hamler as well.
Oh, yeah.
Montreal does that.
Man, when that guy came up and hit KJ, I'm like, oh, no.
And he popped right back up. Well, he popped up so fast.
I'm like, oh, he's ready.
I was like, oh.
He's ready.
He popped up like, you didn't even touch me.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and it was great to see KJ out there. And maybe some of the decisions that are being made at wide receiver also keep that in mind because KJ Hamler now is going to be available for the start of the season.
Absolutely.
Where there was a little bit of question, a little bit of wonder about that, and thinking that for KJ Hamler, there may be needing to shake the rust off. And that's why it was so important. And I very quickly, before we get out of here, I just wanted to ask you about getting those reps and how important that was, because that was a little bit of a hot topic last week, talking about whether KJ should be even playing in that game. Nathaniel Hackett's been pretty adamant about not playing starters, and KJ Hamler would be considered a starter in this offense. But he seemed like a guy that just needed the confidence to know that he could be out there on the field and take those hits.
Yeah, and, hearing him in the press conference say that when he went up to catch a ball and he came down and he just wanted to make sure that he came down correctly on that leg and it felt good. He felt relieved about that. I thought that him being in the game, getting tackled, being taken to the ground and, being able to get back up would do a lot for his confidence. And I think it did. I think he's ready to go.
We need him.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, what he brings to this offense.
Nobody else has that skill set. Montreal is quick and he's tough, but he's not that long speed fast like Kendall like KJ is as well. The only other guy who's got that is Jalen, and I don't know. Is he gonna ultimately make this team or?
All right. We'll have more, of course, later on this week with a full breakdown of the 53-man roster for Benjamin Allbright, Steve Atwater. I'm Ryan Edwards. Thanks for watching Broncos Country Tonight.
You can stand up and salute in Denver, and you got the world champions that live in your town.